From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, January 24th. Obviously got some snow this morning. It's also freezing outside. Any accumulation of the snow would be like an inch or less across central Indiana, with 1 to 2 inches possible over the northern third of the state. It's going to be breezy and cold with highs in the mid-30s. And today, state lawmakers will consider a bill to ban transgender athletes from competing in school sports in the gender group they identify with. Proponents of the bill say it's a way to protect female athletes in Indiana. Critics say it's an example of discriminatory legislation targeting trans youth. We spoke with Kit Malone with the ACLU of Indiana. Malone claims the bill attacks young people who are already vulnerable.
We do not have examples of, trans girls coming into school sports and then taking them over. The idea that we are somehow less deserving of scholastic achievement and we are less deserving of full participation in our schools that's the definition of discriminatory.
The bill would require schools to establish procedures for parents to file a grievance against schools that violate the measure, resulting in another student losing out on an athletic opportunity or is injured. If passed, Indiana would be the 10th state to have such a ban in place. People opposed to the measure organized a rally this morning before the committee met at 8:30. There was also a group set to gather at 8 in the south atrium of the Capitol. Also today, a look at police priorities. This afternoon, the mayor of Indianapolis and IMPD share items of focus for 2022. Today's news conference comes after another record year for homicides in the city. Indianapolis ended 2021 with 271 homicides. That's 26 more than the 245 the city saw in 2020. And the city's peacemakers are reporting for duty. Last week, Mayor Hogsett announced that the 35 peacemakers completed their first round of training and would begin their work today. It's part of the mayor's $150 million violence reduction plan. On Daybreak last week, Hogsett explained what sets apart a peacemaker from a regular officer.
They are folks who are veterans of the street. They have credibility on the street and can communicate and talk to either potential victims of violence, gun violence, or perpetrators of gun violence in ways that uniformed officers or in ways that people like me could never communicate.
The mayor says that the city plans to hire 15 more peacemakers soon. Anderson police are looking into a woman's death after finding her dead in the front yard of a home. The department identified her as 39-year-old Katoria Owens. Officers say they found her body on Morton Street just before noon yesterday. That's near Madison Avenue and 29th Street. An autopsy is scheduled for today, but in the meantime, if you have any information on Owens' death, Anderson police ask you to call Detective Cliff Cole at 765-648-6654. A fourth police officer was shot over the weekend. The latest happened in Washington, D.C. last night. According to police, the shooting happened just before 9 o'clock. At last word, the officer was stable at the hospital. And Indianapolis police are remembering a Texas officer shot and killed early Sunday morning. Assistant Chief Chris Bailey released a statement sending the deepest condolences to our sisters and brothers in Harris County, Texas, for the loss of their hero. Authorities say someone shot and killed Deputy Constable Charles Galloway during a routine traffic stop. The 47-year-old was a 12-year veteran and field training officer. No one has been arrested. Then, in New York, 2 other officers were shot. Police say NYPD officers Jason Rivera and Wilbert Mora were responding to a domestic disturbance call Friday night. Police say the shooter killed 22-year-old Rivera, and 27-year-old Mora is said to be in critical condition. The New York mayor, Eric Adams, asked for prayers for Mora.
We have to stop the flow of guns. We are removing thousands of guns off our streets, and it appears as though for every gun we remove from the street, 5 are coming in. That is unacceptable. And then we have to deal with the institutional problems. We have failed to educate black and brown children in the city of New York, if not this entire country.
He also says mental health professionals and law enforcement will need to work as a team to get gun violence out of the city. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange may be able to avoid extradition to the U.S. Britain's High Court has ruled he can appeal a lower court's ruling that said Assange could be sent back to the United States. U.S. authorities have charged the 50-year-old under the Espionage Act for his role in publishing thousands of classified military and diplomatic documents in 2010. If convicted, Assange faces up to 175 years in prison. NATO is sending ships and fighter jets to Eastern Europe as Russia builds up troops near Ukraine. The International Military Alliance says it's placing extra forces on standby. All eyes are on the Ukrainian border to see if Russia will make the move to invade. The U.S. is now ordering staff to get out of the U.S. Embassy. And as Britt Conway reports, the U.S. is getting ready on multiple fronts.
The world is watching and waiting as more than 127,000 Russian troops mass at the Ukrainian border. U.S. officials have warned invasion could be imminent. In the meantime, the U.S. has been sending weapons to Ukraine and getting some Americans out of Ukraine. The State Department is reducing staff levels at the U.S. Embassy there.
Certain wires have been tripped because all embassies abroad have a plan that lays out precisely what it is that has to happen before these evacuations occur. Now, the assessment has come in that more things have happened, we're not exactly sure what those are yet, that have caused the State Department to say, yeah, families need to get out.
Senior officials familiar with the discussions say President Joe Biden is also working on a global strategy to increase liquefied natural gas production in the event an invasion leads to shortages in Europe, which relies on Russia for nearly half of its supply. A senior official said Biden also met with top military leaders to talk about options for bolstering U.S. troop levels in the Baltics and Eastern Europe. During which the White House says President Biden again affirmed that should Russia further invade Ukraine, the U.S. will impose swift and severe consequences on Russia with our allies and partners. What happens next, though, depends on what Russian President Vladimir Putin is planning.
It's going to be all part of I think, a complex sort of analysis that he's probably doing, trying to decide, do I do this? And if so, how and when?
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Pike Township students and staff are planning to head back to class this morning. Classes went online Friday because of bus driver illnesses. The district posted on social media explaining it is now working to hire more drivers. It also reiterated the importance of mask wearing in school and on buses. According to local health officials, there are nearly 56% of people 5 and older fully vaccinated. They're hoping for more. And while the entire state of Indiana is still reporting the highest level of positivity rate, the latest numbers also show Omicron has likely reached its peak in most counties. And Dr. Anthony Fauci says he is confident most states will reach that peak by mid-February. Fauci is hoping the virus goes below what he calls the area of control. That's when people can learn to live with it.
Control means you're not eliminating it, you're not eradicating it, but it gets down to such a low level that it's essentially integrated into the general respiratory infections that we have learned to live with. I mean, we would like them not to be present, but they're there, but they don't disrupt society. They don't create a fear of severe outcomes that are broad.
Fauci says the goal is to get virus levels low enough for some degree of normalcy to return. The House Select Committee investigating the Capitol riot says former Attorney General William Barr has been meeting with the panel. Barr was a steady defender of former President Trump while he was head of the Justice Department. He resigned in December of 2020 after pushing back against Trump's claims of widespread election fraud. Committee Chair Representative Benny Thompson says the committee's concerned that the military had a possible role in pushing a false election narrative. He referred to a draft executive order presented to then-President Trump to have the Secretary of Defense seize voting machines in battleground states.
So if you're using the military to potentially seize voting machines, even though it's a discussion, the public needs to know. We've never had that before.
Thompson added he wasn't aware of an operational plan, but just the draft itself. A stowaway was found in a cargo plane. Dutch authorities say the man is alive but had a low body temperature when the plane landed at an airport in Amsterdam. According to the airport and police, the man had been hiding for more than 11 hours since the plane left Johannesburg, South Africa. Authorities have not identified the man, but they say they think he's between 16 and 35 years old. It's a big age gap right there. All right, today, SpaceX's latest unmanned ship is returning to Earth. The Dragon cargo ship should splash down off the coast of Panama City, Florida this afternoon. It's carrying medical supplies and more than 4,900 pounds of cargo and research. The experiments on board will be transferred to NASA's Space Station processing facility. The ship undocked from the International Space Station yesterday. And the upcoming Winter Olympics are dealing with more COVID cases. The organizing committee in Beijing says at least 72 staff members have tested positive. Airport PCR tests confirm 39 of those are people who arrived between January 4th and the 22nd. Most of the cases are among staff and not athletes or team officials. Authorities in China implemented what's called a closed-loop system. It's a bubble completely cut off from the rest of the city to help limit spread. As of Saturday, 171 athletes have arrived in Beijing with no positive cases so far. And you can bet on the upcoming Winter Olympics. The Indiana Gaming Commission is allowing gamblers to use casinos and mobile sports wagering operators to bet on 7 sporting events. Betting lines will be offered for alpine skiing, bobsled, cross-country skiing, curling, ice hockey, short track speed skating, and speed skating. The games are scheduled to run from February 4th through the 20th. And to what has to be my favorite story of the day, good for one grandmother in New York who turned the tables on a would-be thief. Police say someone tried to scam her out of thousands of dollars, but she wasn't having it. Karen Dillon explains how the grandmother was able to flip the script.
The quick thinking of this 73-year-old Seaford grandmother, who only wants her first name used, Jean, is being credited for taking down an alleged predator.
I knew he was a real scammer. I just knew he wasn't going to scam me.
The former 911 dispatcher says Thursday morning she received a call from someone claiming to be one of her grandsons. The caller said he had been arrested for drunk driving and was in jail.
He starts calling me grandma. And then I'm like, I don't have a grandson that drives, so I knew it was a scam.
Jean says she immediately knew the call was a hoax, but decided to play along for fun. After several calls back and forth, a person claiming to be her grandson's lawyer told her he needed $8,000 for bail.
I told him I had the money in the house, and I figured he's not going to fall for that. Well, he fell for that hook, line, and sinker.
Meantime, Jean also called police. When a man pretending to be a bail bondsman arrived to collect the cash, she handed him an envelope filled with paper towels. Waiting officers then pounced and took 28-year-old Joshua Estrella Gomez from Mineola into custody. Police say elder scams like this one are rampant. Officers are asking the community to be on alert.
Speak to your families. Speak to your neighbors. Visit those that are vulnerable. Let them know. Don't listen to these scams. These individuals sit at home, have nothing else to do but think of a way to take advantage of our elderly.
Jean is also asking people to watch out.
So I feel like gotcha, and I feel like you say, so many people fall for this, and you only hear about it on the other end after they've lost $8,000.
She hopes her story will serve as a cautionary tale for others and is glad no one was hurt in the process.
That was Karen Dillon reporting. Police say the suspect has now been charged with attempted grand larceny in the 3rd degree. And what's more, if you go on to wishtv.com and find the story, you're going to see a video of the man being arrested. A Ring doorbell camera or a video doorbell camera, whichever brand it was, caught the whole thing. And it's pretty impressive. And the grandmother comes out and watches it. Yeah, good for her. Devour Indy Winterfest gets underway today. Special menus, discounted prices, great way to get out and experience some new places maybe you haven't tried before. It goes for 2 weeks. More than 100 restaurants in and around Indianapolis are offering special menus at those discounted prices. Diners have the opportunity to also donate to the Indiana Hospitality Relief Fund. It's an organization started by the National Restaurant Association in response to the pandemic. Devour Indy Winterfest ends February 6th. And finally, classic candy hearts are getting a new twist. This year, the Valentine's Day candy will have 16 new sayings. They're words of encouragement, including, "You got this," "High five," and "Crush it." The candy company says it's still keeping the classic sayings like "Be mine" and "Sweetheart." This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.